Welcome to Shamanism Unleashed with Shaman Gabriel. This is going to be a grounded introduction to shamanism, modern shamanism designed for real-world transformation. So in this webinar, we will explore shamanism and emotional intelligence, learning how awareness and nervous system regulation becomes true spiritual power. Then we'll move into shamanic essentials for modern life, applying ancient tools in practical, embodied, and new ways. You'll discover the shamanic path of transformation, turning crisis into initiation and growth. And I'll show you how to tap into shamanism through our courses and books, and how to approach trauma healing in a way that feels empowering and not heavy or overwhelming. So let's get into it. Okay guys, thank you again so much for joining this webinar. So Shamanic Essentials for Modern Life is about bringing ancient wisdom into everyday reality. That's the main thing. Shamanism isn't about escaping society or performing elaborate ceremonies. At its core, it's about perception, presence, and personality responsibility. In the modern world, your nervous system is your sacred instrument. Learning to regulate it is one of the most powerful spiritual skills you can develop. Now, the first essential is awareness, noticing your thoughts, emotions, and energetic shifts without immediately reacting. The second is emotional regulation, transforming triggers into information rather than conflict. And the third is shadow integration, really recognizing the parts of yourself you have rejected and learning to reclaim them with compassion. The fourth is intentional ritual, simple daily practices that anchor focus and clarity. The fifth is connection to nature, remembering that your body and mind operate by natural rhythms, not digital urgency. So modern shamanism teaches you to move through stress, relationships, leadership, and uncertainty with grounded stability. Now, it's not mystical performance, it is embodied discipline. And when you apply these essentials consistently, you become less reactive, more intuitive, and deeply aligned. This is how ancient practice becomes modern power. And our power is in the first essential, which is awareness. Anchoring our awareness and increasing our awareness and becoming sensitive to the energies around us makes us more available to those who need the energy, who need healing, who need assistance, who need guidance, who feel lost. And that's a lot of society. So you being able to anchor yourself into a different energy and to feel connected to nature and to have the awareness that you are everything allows an energy to be activated that other people can sense and feel. And this is the power of modern day shamanism, to know that you are the source. There is no middleman to you becoming the full energy that you are. And this is what this webinar is tapping into a little bit, touching on, and this is what our courses will tap into. So if you guys are interested, you can check out the links below, and there are some courses that you may enjoy in regards to shamanism, as well as a book series on Amazon called The Shamanic Path, which I wish I had when I first started this journey. Hello everyone. So the shamanic path of transformation begins with a call to change. So it's often disguised as a crisis, heartbreak, confusion, or deep sense of something in your life is misaligned. In shamanic understanding, these moments are not setbacks, they are initiations. Transformation requires a willingness to descend into the parts of yourself you have avoided, your fears, emotional wounds, and outdated identities. A foundational principle of this path is detachment. Detachment is not emotional numbness or withdrawal. It is conscious awareness without entanglement. It is the ability to observe your thoughts, habits, and emotional reactions without being ruled by them. And when you create space between stimulus and response, you interrupt old conditioning in that space. You regain authorship over your mind. Now, through awareness, you begin to reprogram inherited beliefs, release survival patterns, and install new perspectives aligned with your highest potential. So you stop reacting from past wounds and you start responding from present clarity. Accepting your power requires responsibility, the courage to let go of who you were in order to become who you are meant to be. This is the deeper work we explore in the Amazon book series, The Shamanic Path, written by myself and psychologist Yi Lin, a guided journey into detachment, reconditioning the mind, and embodied transformation. And if you guys want to go further into the shamanic path of sound healing, the shamanic path of chanting and invocations, or the shamanic path of different traditions, Native American, Taino, There are many different paths to the same teachings. And that's what we go through inside our courses and through the book, which you can find below in the resources. But the main path of transformation is the detachment from everything that you thought was you and letting your ego disintegrate. And this ego disintegration, this spiritual awakening, this finally awakening to your shadow, and then integrating that shadow slowly is what allows you to anchor this awareness into your present life. It's what allows you to feel the connection to nature all around you. It's what allows you to be the energy, be the shamanic energy, the modern person that is able to wear the mask, not be seen like a shaman, but to be able to drop the shamanic intuition, the shamanic teachings into everyday life, and not to preach, but to show. So that's what we're going to get into, and thank you for joining this webinar. Cheers to the journey. Hello everyone, my name is Shaman Gabriel. 12 years ago, I began a spiritual journey. I did not start this path to become a shaman. I started because I was hurting, I was confused, I was reacting to life instead of understanding it. I did not know how to handle my emotions. I did not know how to sit with pain. I didn't know how to feel anger without exploding or shutting down. So I began a journey. That journey led me into silence. It led me into nature. It led me into deeper self-reflection. It led me into ceremonies and sound. It led me into studying energy. And over time, I learned something powerful. Emotional intelligence is not just a skill. It is a spiritual practice. It is the ability to pause instead of react. It is the ability to feel without drowning. It is the ability to sense energy without absorbing it. And it is the courage to meet your deepest self. And today I want to share 3 pillars that changed my life. These 3 pillars helped me grow my emotional intelligence, and they helped me become calm in what you can consider chaos. They helped me become a safe space for others. They helped me become a vessel instead of a reactor. The 3 pillars are mindfulness, energy awareness, and the solo journey within. Let's begin. Pillar 1, mindfulness. This is the foundation. Emotional intelligence starts with awareness. Most people are not bad with emotions. They are just fast. Fast to react. Fast to defend. Fast to attack. Fast to shut down. Mindfulness teaches you to slow down. It teaches you to pause. And that pause is powerful. The pause creates power. The cow. There's a small space between something happening and your reaction. In that small space, you have a choice. But most people never see that space. They react before they think. Mindfulness helps you see the space. So it can be as simple as talking, taking one deep breath. Someone says something that triggers you, instead of firing back, you breathe. You feel your body. You notice your heart beating faster. You notice your thoughts getting loud, building momentum. And in that moment, you say to yourself, I am feeling anger right now. Not, they made me angry, just, I'm feeling anger. And that small shift changes everything. You stop being the emotion. You start observing the emotion. When I first began my journey, I could not do this. If I felt hurt, I lashed out. If I felt rejected, I shut down. If I felt challenged, I became defensive. So for me, mindfulness taught me to sit in discomfort, to feel heat in my chest, to feel tightness in my throat, to feel tears in my eyes, and not to run. That is emotional intelligence. It's not about being perfect. It's about being aware. So presence regulates the nervous system, and presence is built through one's own awareness. So here's something important. When you are calm, others feel it. When you are grounded, others relax. Your nervous system sends signals to other people. If you are anxious, they feel it. If you are angry, they feel it. If you are peaceful, they feel that too. Mindfulness helps you regulate your nervous system. It slows your breath, it lowers your heart rate, and it tells your body you are safe. When you feel safe, you respond better. You speak more clearly. You listen more deeply. You do not try to win the moment. You try to understand it. And this is the base of emotional intelligence. But mindfulness alone is not enough. You must also understand energy. So that's where pillar 2 comes into place. Energy awareness and shamanic intelligence. Everything has energy. Your thoughts have energy, your words have energy, your emotions have energy. I would say that they are energy. And if you walk into a room where people just argued, you can feel it, the resonance of it, the reverberations of it. No one has to tell you the energy is heavy. So if you walk into a room full of laughter, you feel that too. So energy is real, and part of that emotional intelligence is learning how to sense energy without getting lost in it. When I began studying shamanism and walking the path, I learned how to feel subtle energies. I could sense when someone was sad, even when they were smiling, and I could sense tension in a room before anyone spoke. But here is the danger. If you're not aware, you start absorbing energy. Okay, you take on other people's sadness. You carry other people's stress. You mistake their emotions for yours. This leads to burnout. This leads to confusion. Emotional intelligence means knowing what is yours and what is not. Sometimes you feel anxious, but when you pause and check in, you realize this is not my anxiety. It belongs to the environment. It belongs to someone else. So you can care without carrying. You can feel without drowning. And one simple practice is this. Before entering a space, imagine light around your body. Not as protection from attack, but as a boundary. You are open but not absorbent. You are aware but not overwhelmed. That is energetic maturity. Now let's talk about frequency. Every motion has a vibration. Anger feels sharp. Fear feels tight. Love feels open. Peace feels wide. Sound can shift vibration. When you work with sound, drums, bowls, or my voice, I'm not just making noise. I am adjusting frequency. Low, steady drum beats can calm the body. Soft tones can open the heart. And deep humming can ground the mind. So you can try this right now. Take a deep breath. Now hum gently for 5 seconds. Did you feel your chest vibrate? Feel your throat soften? So sound changes your state. So when you change your state, you change your emotional response. Emotional intelligence is not just mental, it is vibrational. It's your awareness of the vibration and to be able to articulate that. If you master your frequency, you master your reactions. But there is one more layer, and that's the deepest layer that many just avoid, and that's the journey within. The journey within is the solo journey, and that's really meeting yourself. Pillar 3. Many people want emotional intelligence, but few want to meet their shadow. Your shadow is the part of you that feels shame, that part of you that feels jealousy, that part that feels fear. You cannot master emotions you refuse to face. There were times in my journey when I had to be alone. No phone, no distractions, no noise, just me. And in those moments, emotions came up that I had buried away for years. Old grief, old anger, old memories. And it was uncomfortable, but it was healing. When you sit alone long enough, truth rises. You see your patterns. You see how you react when you feel small. You see how you push people away when you fear rejection. You see how you try to control when you feel unsafe. And this awareness is powerful because once you see the pattern, you can change it. Solitude is not loneliness. It is self-meeting. Even spending 1 hour alone in nature can teach you something. Sit by the water, sit under a tree, breathe. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding feeling? And listen. Having tools for the inner journey, going inward, is powerful, but you must go with tools. Here are some simple tools you can use. Breath work, slow deep breathing to stay grounded. Journaling, write what you feel without judging it. Sound, you can hum, drum, or listen to calming tones. Sound healing is very beneficial. Intention, so before sitting alone, say, I am ready to see what I need to see. I'm ready to feel what I need to feel. And grounding, after a deep reflection, touch the earth. Eat food, drink water. Emotional intelligence is not pushing feelings away. It is feeling them safely. It's letting them move through you instead of getting stuck. And when you integrate your emotions, you become stable. You stop blaming others for your reactions, and you take ownership. And that ownership is freedom. Let's return to the 3 pillars. Remember, mindfulness creates space. Energy awareness creates discernment. And the solo journey creates transformation. And when you practice mindfulness, you stop reacting blindly. When you practice energy awareness, you stop absorbing everything. When you practice solitude, you understand yourself deeply. 12 years ago, I was searching for peace. What I found was responsibility. Responsibility for my emotions, responsibility for my energy, responsibility for my reactions. That responsibility did not make life heavier. It made it lighter, because when you are emotionally intelligent, you are not controlled by energy wave. You become the ocean. You can feel anger without becoming anger. You can feel sadness without becoming sadness. You can feel fear without running from it. You become steady. And when you are steady, others feel safe around you. You become a calm presence in chaos. You become a vessel, not because you're perfect, but because you're aware. Emotional intelligence is not about hiding emotion. It is about honoring it. It is about listening to it. It is about learning from it. And most of all, it's about loving yourself enough to meet your full depth. And if you choose to walk this path, walk it gently. Be patient with yourself. Growth is not fast. It is layered. But every breath of awareness changes you. Every moment of pause strengthens you. And every journey inward frees you. 12 years ago, I started as a seeker. Today, I share as someone who has walked into the dark and found light there. And if I can do it, you can too. So thank you for being here. And remember, your emotional intelligence is not something you add. It is something you uncover. It has always been inside of you. You just have to be brave enough to meet it. If you guys are ready to go on this journey, there are some links to courses below that you may enjoy. To shamanism, to sound healing, and to even some books and educational resources that I wish I had when I started my journey. All right, cheers. Thank you for joining, and leave a positive review if you enjoyed this webinar. See, the cow wants you to do it too. Hey everyone, if you're enjoying this content, please subscribe. Hey guys, I want to thank you for joining this webinar. For this section, I want to talk about education. When it comes to shamanism, it's very important that you continue your education. And I had to find my way, which was pretty difficult. And you can follow intuition and find your way, and how fast you find it really depends on how tuned in your intuition is. yourself, or you can tap into others who kind of found their own way and grab an essence from them, and not become them, but to at least grab an essence that you can use to your own advantage, right? So that's why I created, with psychologist Yi Lin, Shamanic Essentials Unleashed, which includes a lot of information that's not covered in our Shamanic Essentials courses, levels 1 and 2, and also goes into and includes inside that book My Shamanic Bible. Now, a lot of you guys have requested My Shamanic Bible, but haven't been able to access it, and just haven't been able to find it. You can find it by going on Amazon to Shamanic Essentials Unleashed. That book by myself, Shaman Gabriel, and psychologist Yi Lin will be the one tool that you will be able to tap into daily. So there are prayers and invocations, prayers is the wrong word, but word tracks that you can tap into. So, and it becomes one with you. So when you're in nature like this, you can say, I call in the energies that are all around me. The trees that breathe in the oxygen, take in that oxygen and release it back into the breath of air that I inhale and exhale. The earth beneath my feet grounds the being that I am. The thoughts that are in my mind attract the highest energies, and those energies are here now in all ways and things. And this beautiful energy and foundation of life, this tapestry, is the connection that is myself. And there is no separation, and all is one. And aho, it is done for us to have fun. See, that can be an invocation for having fun, right? And that can be an intention that you have, but you can't generate these word tracks in your mind without laying that foundation. So I created that whole foundation for you. That's what took me a long time on the journey, but I set that up. I wanted to share it with you guys and tap in. Now let's go to a message from psychologist Yi Lin.
This is psychologist Yi Lin, and I have a message about education that your course instructor Shaman Gabriel agrees with. Continuing your education in shamanism is not optional, it is essential. The path of the shaman has never been a static identity. It is a lifelong discipline of refinement, awareness, and integration. In traditional cultures, initiation was only the beginning. Training continued for years, sometimes decades. The modern world is no different. If anything, it requires even more discernment. Shamanism today exists in a landscape filled with misinformation, fantasy projections, and spiritual bypassing. Without continued study, it is easy to confuse intensity for depth, experience for wisdom, or symbolism for embodiment. Ongoing education protects you from stagnation and distortion. It sharpens perception. It strengthens discernment. It keeps you humble. True shamanic development requires grounded frameworks. Emotional intelligence must evolve. Psychological awareness must deepen. Nervous system regulation must become stable and embodied. The more you learn, the more precise your self-observation becomes. You begin to notice subtle patterns in your reactions, relationships, and leadership. You recognize shadow faster. You integrate faster. You respond instead of react. That is why I always recommend returning to structured, well-articulated texts instead of relying solely on peak experiences or fragmented online content. Grounded teachings provide containment. They offer language for what can otherwise feel abstract. They bridge spiritual experience with practical integration. For example, Shamanic Essentials Unleashed offers a clear framework for applying ancient principles in modern life. It strips away theatrics and focuses on awareness, ritual discipline, shadow integration, and emotional mastery. It reminds us that modern shamanism is about embodiment, not performance. Likewise, the works of thinkers like Carl Jung deepen our understanding of shadow, archetypes, and the unconscious. Jung's exploration of the psyche complements shamanic journeying by grounding symbolic experience in psychological insight. Without this grounding, spiritual exploration can drift into projection or inflation. The teachings of Joseph Campbell illuminate the hero's journey, the universal structure of initiation, descent, and return. This mirrors the shamanic path and helps practitioners contextualize their struggles as developmental stages rather than personal failures. Similarly, the writings of Mircea Eliade provide historical and anthropological context for shamanic traditions. Understanding the roots of these practices fosters respect and prevents cultural distortion or appropriation. Further education also strengthens integrity. If you guide others, whether formally or informally, your responsibility increases. You must understand trauma dynamics. You must recognize projection and transference. You must know when to hold space and when to refer out. Continued learning is an ethical commitment. Another reason ongoing study matters is integration. Insights fade without reinforcement. Reading, revisiting teachings, and engaging with structured coursework reactivate awareness. Each time you return to a foundational concept, you see it from a higher vantage point. What once seemed basic reveals new layers of meaning. Education also refines language. The ability to articulate your experiences clearly is part of mastery. When you can explain emotional regulation, shadow integration, or initiation in grounded terms, you embody stability. This clarity builds trust in yourself and with others. Most importantly, continued study keeps you evolving. The shaman is not someone who has arrived. The shaman is someone who remains in relationship with learning. Nature evolves, consciousness evolves, your nervous system evolves, your identity evolves. To stop studying is to freeze growth. That is why I consistently recommend grounded, structured texts and trainings. They provide both stability and spiritual flow. They honor mystery while maintaining psychological clarity. They encourage embodiment instead of escapism. The path of modern shamanism demands maturity, and maturity is cultivated through disciplined, ongoing education.
My belief is that the mind is extremely powerful. It's not the answer, but it's extremely powerful in what we believe we create. Thank you for joining me on this little picnic time with the watermelon. What would you like to know that you think I might be able to answer?
About anything?
Yeah,
From any perspective.
anything.
When did you first really know, like, when did it really click in? Not just on a logical level, but a other level that just how it all works, how this not all works. I don't. That's too big a question, but like we were talking about that intelligence that is out there, but it's actually in here and it's everywhere.
It's right here. The journey of awareness has many epiphanies, so I had many of them, like many moments of like clarity and feeling oneness and knowing of like, wow, there's something very intelligent here. That is the knowing and awareness that I've always had, that I had in connection with my mom, which is why I always trusted to follow my intuition, because I knew my intuition was connected to that intelligence. That's like our purest form of knowledge, like the way people think. Thinking is the smartest place. I always think intuition is the smartest place, because that's in line with...
And you always had that?
Yeah, that awareness. Yeah. from college early on.
Okay, so before that, there wasn't that.
It was there. It was always just gentle.
Right.
It was gentle.
So there was an awareness there that there was something else.
Yeah, and then the story of life just unfolded, and then I was able to connect the dots, and then it was the awareness was always there. Everyone, if you're enjoying this content, please subscribe. I always knew that. I just knew it.
Place it.
I placed it on many things. I knew what it was. Yeah, I couldn't place it anywhere or call it anything, but I knew that's where everything was like coming from. From yoga to everything, it was just this energy, and that's why I was so fascinated with the power of the mind, because we're connected to it, and yet not only are we connected to it, but we have the ability to create from it and like choose what to create, which is an extremely powerful thing. So yeah, that always fascinated me.
Young age.
Yeah, I mean, it really kicked off in college. I had a friend, a roommate, not a roommate, but he lived across from me when I lived on, not on Pearl Street, but on the hill in college, which is like a place that's, you live a bunch above like a bakery or something like that. A bunch of people are walking back and forth. A lot of traffic. Yeah, and I would make caramel popcorn. He always loved the smell on it. He would knock on it. He was like, "Yo, you making some popcorn right now?" Like, yeah, how did you know? Yeah, so he would. So I would always share popcorn with him. And yeah, he brought up the stuff about aliens that I used to be fascinated with, and with my mom. Like when I was in high school, we would connect about shit like that. And yeah, we started to connect about that, and then he showed me something that I haven't really saw before, and then he kind of took me on a journey for itself. It sparked, well, in one way, on the surface, and after that sparked something inside of me, like I don't know what it was, but it was just like a remembering, because I knew all of that, and then it
tucked it away.
It tucked it, yeah, and then it showed itself again, and he took me a little bit deeper into it, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, man, why'd I stop this? Yeah, and then yeah, and then from there it was gone, because then I started to understand energy. I started to tap into that more. I would really read books and try to understand it. And I would find teachers that I felt really knew it, because they would give me the chills when they spoke, or when I just knew. They would give me clarity, like Alan Watts. So I would buy all his books. And it got to the point where listening to the lecture was so easy, because I would read his books and I could feel like I could predict what he would say. It was just like
you could feel that.
I could feel that, and then I could speak from that. So like my ability to speak and articulate was much different when I was reading. There's something within certain people that that's more of a metaphor to saying this, but it might be very practical and legitimate. But it's something that it's in certain individuals that call them and allow them to be deeper vessels and listeners, or have the ability to listen and hear certain psychoactive substances, and some of those are where the basis of shamanism and deep medicine work come from. So I think it's that, and where that comes, what that is, that goes deep. Who knows? It's like a little something. It's got to be DNA, because DNA is what grows the whole structure. And maybe it grew my structure where the neurons of my left hemisphere don't fire as much in this kind of part, but they do really a lot in this one. So it's like, you think this way, and I'm more over here, and that's all DNA. How does that happen?
Or if you're talking about DNA, is that more of a spiritual DNA? Like, it doesn't have to be like a physical transferring of something, but energetically it gets passed.
Yeah, I think it's all the same thing, because what grows the DNA? I think it's that intelligence that you're speaking of. You spoke of before, it's the energy of everything. Do you have the thought, or does the thought come to you through the energy moving? Is it like the chi that has all the intelligence and all the force, and it's just us as a vehicle that can really download it instantly? My belief is that the mind is extremely powerful, It's not the answer, but it's extremely powerful in what we believe we create. And I do believe we have the ability to heal ourselves, which means we have the ability to create ourselves and recreate ourselves. And I believe we have the ability to like detoxify ourselves and cleanse ourselves to the point where we can be in a sauna and be on a cleanse for a month, water cleanse for a week, and like really go down to our cells where it's detoxing and we're visualizing these cells being replenished with what are another cell that can take to something else. It's our ability to visualize and to rebuild ourselves with intention and to cleanse ourselves and to clear that old. I believe that's possible.
Irrespective of where you've come from.
No matter where you come from.
Mm-hmm. And no matter if you have that kind of lineage that we talked about.
Wouldn't matter. It's just those people that I'm talking about maybe are a little more receptive to that one kind, like the way, certain people from this part of Africa, which is proven it's like a sports gene, they're all the sprinters of the world come from like 2% region of, that's the same with medicine work and all that type of shit. And so that's why I say when you become aware of it, you got to tap into your superpower. And that was my superpower, and I became aware of, so I tapped into it.